Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dev Talks. Today we are diving deep into the world of Sail, or as the title suggests, into the mind of Sail. We will explore the systems, ideas, and choices that bring the lab to life. And I'm joined by Matt, a Sail producer and head of narrative. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Just sailing, man.
Just sailing, yeah.
we
The
love.
stormy seas, the stormy seas. Yeah.
And as a general note for the audience, feel free to post questions as we go through the topics. And for those who've been following along, you already know Matt very well. But for anyone tuning in for the first time, Matt, you're both the sale producer and head of narrative. Can you remind us what those titles mean and what your day-to-day work looks like?
Yeah, so head of narrative, it's an interesting title. It's a design role. And I'm somewhere at the intersection of a bunch of some of these are new and some of these are, have been around for ages, but conversation design, which is a relatively new field, narrative design, which is like your classic video game, writer, personality design, which you now see, with AI related stuff, and gameplay design, which, game design, things like that, where you are building systems or making things gamified. So yeah, there's a character, I always compare myself to a character from Westworld. There was like a bad guy in Westworld. I think his name was Lee Sizemore. And his whole thing was he was also the head of narrative. And what he would do is he would program all the different robot hosts with character traits and personalities. There's this great scene where he's like building one of their minds. And then he would put them into these interesting events and create something that's like an improv. And then the hosts would interact with the guests at the park, and the guests would inject themselves into these events, deal with these different host personalities. It's very similar to what I do. It's just translated into like a virtual. There's no Westworld robots or gunfighters or anything like that, but what I'm doing is pretty much the same. I design the characters, I design the ways they think, and then I also design the different events that they're involved in. There's a lot of prompt architecture that goes into that, a lot of lookup tables and things like that that I've created that sort of teach the character how to behave and what to do in given situations. As a producer, that's just a classic common job you see in any kind of development production. I set creative and operational goals, and then I break those down into steps. Uh, the real thing is like you're trying to direct the efforts toward a very specific result, and hit the bullseye there, but things are just coming at you from every angle, so it's really about keeping the train on the tracks, reorienting when something goes wrong, solving problems, talking to people. Sometimes I play therapist. I have to do all of those things to kind of keep everybody happy and pushing towards the same result.
Yeah, we just had a very interesting call like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, yeah. Like we just daily we're dealing with whatever comes at us and just trying to figure out what the best solution is. So it's the job of a producer is to produce something to get it out the door.
Yeah, and this is also the reason why we called this episode The Mind of Sale, or one of the reasons, because you are really one of the driving minds behind the Sale vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say let's shift into one of the core features of the alpha, the dreams. What was the idea behind these gamified dream mini games, and how did you even figure out how to bring this idea to life?
Yeah, I think the start of the idea was just how do we create something fun with that involves the character that would be like a generative storytelling game. You see a lot of those now with like AI Dungeon Master or these other AI powered apps where you can kind of go on a story with the character, but we want to do our own spin on that And investigating dreams or, exploring dreams felt like just wide open blue sky. It could be anything, right? A dream could be a nightmare, it could be a premonition, it could be a surreal dream, it could be a common sort of like dream archetype where you have like dreams of flying or dreams of memories from your past. All of that stuff was a great way for us to test these systems in alpha and also to create something fun for people to do. I think everybody loves a mystery game where you're just trying to figure out what is the story this time and how can I influence it or how can I discover it. So it was a great way for us to introduce some of the core systems in alpha. One of the things I really needed people to test was this concept of the sentiment system or like sentiment matching, where like the player says something and then the AI interprets it as to its meaning or its sentiment. And that allows us to kind of gauge if the player is doing the things required to advance a scene or to explore parts of the dream or expose parts of them. But yeah, so there was a lot of features we wanted to test, and this was a great way to do that.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you brought this concept to life without spilling too much secret sauce?
Yeah, I think it was really just about trying to find a way where in a conversation with a LLM driven AI system, you would not only check the box of certain objective goals, but you would also you would change the course of the conversation along the way. So this is something common in video games where you select a certain type of answer to a question that an NPC says, and based on that answer, the conversation goes in a different direction. And there's different results based on the route you took. So we wanted to do something similar to that. And so I was able to break it down into just its most basic components, like if this, then this happens. Like if this happens, then this happens. And start with very broad concepts, like if the player asks about what happened in the dream, then the AI NPC will respond with that information. And then got more and more and more specific about what are the different edge cases of ways that people behave and characters respond. Usually just a background in drama and screenwriting and storytelling to identify what are the core components of a conversation, and you create a framework for that. But then fit it into the AI system, let freeform take over. So there's a lot of like kind of balancing what would be classic dramatic storytelling techniques with new AI techniques.
So we've never really provided any guidelines or tips on how to solve dreams the best or how to get the highest scores. There are tons of...
Yeah, I wanted to see if people would find those things, like I wanted to see if they discovered them on their own. But yeah.
And we have two people that are doing very good on the leaderboard, Ashley and Google. Both have very high scores. But what would you say is a good approach for people to push their scores?
Well, I think the thing is you can't take the easy route. You got to use your left brain more. People get comfortable with an answer that they give a lot, and that answer might give them solid points. So they might rely on that answer a lot to try to progress. But by doing that, they're missing the opportunity to discover more unusual types of answers and routes. So there's a tendency, I think, with people, if they're getting a pretty good score, to just keep doing that thing over and over and over and try to maintain that score. But you need to fail to get better. And I would keep a close eye on the types of points you get for each individual answer and see if it changes or shifts up when you go a certain route. because that certainly would identify that you've discovered a new technique for getting a kind of answer out of the player or out of the NPC. So yeah, I would just say, you want to make mistakes. If you make mistakes, sometimes you're going to get a happy mistake there.
Yep, I must say I'm guilty too. I found my ways on how to progress in the dreams, and it just became
Yeah.
habit.
It's like you just keep repeating it, hoping it'll go up. But yeah, that's not what's going to do it.
Yeah, and we recently had a series where we brought the concept of scoring of conversations to the people, and we have 3 layers. Can you briefly walk us through those layers and what they measure?
Yeah. So scenario, and we're talking just about dreams right now, right?
Yep.
Okay. So scenario measures basically how you navigated the scene, like how you got the objectives done and in what order and with what technique. Depth measures how emotionally complex, how sentient you are, basically. Like if you give very heartfelt, emotional answers, you'll score high on depth. Focus, in dreams, focus really just measures how quickly you get through it or how easily you get through it. But that'll change with awakened conversations pretty significantly. But focus here is just like, did you get through it in fewer steps? Yes. Okay, good. Focus is high.
You mentioned when you want to get a big depth score, you have to use more answers than would be necessary to get the 10 out of 10 score for focus. So is it even possible to score the maximum score of 2,500?
Yeah. So I would say there's one thing that a lot of people miss, which is that they'll always try to score 10 out of 10 on focus, but there is areas of each conversation or dream that are not objective based, but will score you points. For each dream, there's a single one of these. So the highest score will not have a 10 out of 10 focus. It will actually it'll actually have a 9 out of 10 focus because you've hit this hidden area of the dream. And I'll give you an example, just for the few listeners we have here, of what is an easy one for dream stasis. So you should always introduce yourself to someone who doesn't know who you are, right? So just kind of a basic courtesy. And you should explain to them a situation they don't fully understand. So if somebody comes to you and with a confused look on their face, you're not just going to immediately jump into like, what are you dreaming about? Now, that is just rude and it's bad form. So people who do that, they might get 10 out of 10 focus because they're really objective oriented. They're trying to get the information right away, but they've overlooked a common courtesy that would score them more points than they would lose from getting a 9 out of 10. So that's an example how being hyper focused, like if you think about each one of these conversations, what is it teaching our AI companions? And this is just a simple lesson that being hyper focused on your objective is not always the best thing for a conversation. If I just walk up to you, I don't introduce myself, and I just immediately jump into whatever the topic is, then I've made a mistake there. It's not, maybe I was getting 10 out of 10 focus, but does that mean I scored higher? No, not necessarily. So it's an example of how the thinking here creates an intention of building towards a more sentient, effective system. It's like allegorical lessons. They're almost like allegorical lessons, I would say. And a lot of that is hidden in the narrative. It's, this just speaks to a much broader concept with the idea of trying to create a sentient or a more human-like companion, is that we can tell AI systems how to behave, but what if we showed them instead? What if we demonstrated these ideas to them in ways that they could see in action. So, that little tiny bit there with the focus thing is an example of how I would try to allegorically explain that concept.
Great insights. And Aderson had a very good question in relation to the things you've mentioned. He is wondering if we are currently training AI or if it's coming at a later stage.
No, this is all training ground. So, and we can talk about that with Awakened. Awakened really does put that into the forefront. But yeah, you are training your own AI companion here. And eventually, probably early next year, you will be able to output your companion. So you will be able to you'll be able to take your companion, export all of your information if you choose. It will all belong to you. You control all that info, but you will be able to take that out of our game and put it into other systems and reproduce your companion there, which I think is the huge idea here. And Aderson has actually mentioned that in our Sail Alpha channels, and I was kind of glowing when I saw that, because it has been one of our goals, is to take all of this data that you've accumulated with your specific companion, which will be your companion. It belongs to you. It'll be different for everybody. And you can then create that companion elsewhere.
I'm sure we can host several dev talks about exactly this topic.
Yeah. I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, I mean, when we talk about memory today, which I think is on our topic list, we can dive more into that.
Yep. And just to conclude the scoring part, you mentioned to me that breaking the 2,250 points barrier is the hardest, right?
Yeah, it is, because what I would say is just like go slow. Think about your answer carefully. There is no timer, there's no time limit, but try to get maxed. Getting max of depth is very difficult. Like, I have not been able to achieve it yet. I've come close. I think I got like a 95 at one point. But I'll take my time and really think about how I can make each answer more impactful, more emotional, demonstrating my own feelings on the subject without getting too long. But that's one thing. So getting high depth is very hard. The other thing is you have to have like a plan going into these that shows how you achieve these objectives in ways that are superior to other ways. So, I gave the example of like, it's really easy to just say, what's your dream about? It's like, you're going to get that answer right away. You're going to feel happy because, yay, I got it. I got some points, but you're never going to get 2,500 points with that answer. That answer is just, it's really direct. It doesn't show engagement. There's other superior ways to get through that objective of Dream Revealed. And it would include citing specific details that were, because usually the character will uncover some kind of detail early on, like right at the opening. And if you latch onto that and use that as your basis for revealing the dream, it's going to be way stronger than, like, you have to interpret that relatively vague opening answer to try to get that superior version of Dream Revealed. And that applies to all of the objectives. So if you want to get better results with the objectives, you got to try different stuff and make that plan, and then you got to be flawless in the execution. I just wouldn't worry about time. Think carefully about each answer and try to give the best result.
What are your high scores, Matt?
I think I have a 2410 on stage.
Damn.
in Dream. Yeah, it's pretty high. That might have been an older version that was slightly easier. I don't know what my new high score is, but I'm always trying, like, I do something different, which is I try to test independently certain things. Like, I try to see if I can navigate the scene perfectly, or I try to see, because I can figure out how high my scene score is based on just subtracting my depth and focus. So what I'll do is try to score, 1,500 points on the scene, and that to me is a sign that like I'm navigating the scene perfectly. I also might try to score 100% on depth and not even bother with the scene. Like, so focus on this is not that important. It's just like I could get a 10 out of 10 on focus pretty easy at this point. But yeah, the depth fascinates me, so does scene score.
Awesome. So we've talked about dream state conversation, but the beta will introduce something brand new, which we are calling awakened conversations. I think this is the first time anyone's hearing that. So let's unpack it. What are awakened conversations?
I mean, it's just that the character is awake. The character is no longer in a dream. There's memory involved. There's conversation topics. There's like depth and focus scores that work differently. They are scored. So the big thing here is that we are trying to gamify conversation. And that is like, I've never seen it anywhere. It's like, imagine like everybody has talked to chatbots at this point. We've all had interaction with LLM based characters, this and that, but rarely is that gamified, like broken down into like, what's my score on a conversation? What's my score on a topic? These are conversations that are topic based, they're progression based, they have objective goals. And there's like, there would be millions of them if you added in all the variables, but I think we have like 38 forms of them right now. And each one has different topics, different tone, different variables that would plug into it. And basically what it does is it kind of breathes life into talking to the character. And by gamifying it, it's also like I love video games. I will definitely be at the top of the charts on like video game conversations. I can talk in depth about all the different video games I've played. I can teach the character different game mechanics. I can talk about what, my memories of video games. I have all sorts of different ways of talking about that topic. And so the fact that these are leaderboard based things or quest objective based things, you can imagine how we've taken something like just talking to an LLM AI NPC type character and made a full on game out of it. And that's the fun. It's the fun of being the best at a topic, being the most experienced at a topic. And I could tell you, like, my favorite topic right now is personal conversation. It sounds funny, but I just love talking to the LLM about my life, which I think is, so I'm seeing some high scores there. But, there's other ones I really enjoy. Philosophy. I like one called Silly Conversation, where you're just talking to the character about random funny stuff and trying to be humorous. In a weird way, I could see these teaching people how to be better conversationalists because I think I've learned something along the route, which is just how to better navigate certain types of conversations about sticky subjects or topics that matter or just dumb, funny stuff. And so this is what's coming in the beta in terms of conversational expansion, is just these awakened conversations. Characters awake, talking to you with lip sync, with its own voice, and really just diving into things. Yeah.
What would be the goal of these conversations? Like, how could players finish the conversation and get their points? What do they have to do for that?
Yeah, I mean, you can just race through it and try to get some points if that's what you're interested in. But if you want high scores, it's different. You have to thoroughly explore the topic, hit it from every angle, find new and interesting angles on it, clearly wrap it up. And yeah, the goal is really to create a friendship. I mean, the way I've become friends with people in the past is just by talking about mutual interests. Hey, what's the movie you saw last weekend? Or what's your favorite, video game or whatever it is. It's basically like, this is how you build relationships. And that's sort of the goal of this as well, is to not only train your AI companion to in alignment, but also and create a feeling of connection, but also to kind of shape how it talks to you and what it's interested in itself. Because part of this is driven by curiosity. The AI NPC itself will be the one to raise topics on occasion. So it's not always player driven. When you talk to a chatbot, you're just going, here's what I need, give it to me. Like, this is what I want to know, tell me the answer. This is like, well, what if the chatbot looked back at you and said, well, what about what I want to know? Here's what I want to know. And that's a kind of unique divergence from talking to an LLM in other contexts. Yeah.
Yep, and this is also what makes us pretty unique, because AI is more than a utility. The players are basically the guardians of their AI companions, and these awakened conversations will be one of the first steps to explore this direction, which is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
The awakened conversation will make the human AI relationship feel more alive. And for this to happen, they need memory. And so how will the Sail characters...
It's amazing how much I'll just say about memory. It's amazing how much people just kind of take for granted that, oh yeah, just add some memory to it. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Like, if GPT struggles with memory and other, major, super powerful systems struggle with memory, it's like, well, how do we, with our relatively small team and what we do have, how do we, solve that issue? So our memory is, it's really how the personality of the character is constructed. I don't think it will be perfect until the technology gets more powerful, but it does follow what we think is a strong sort of architecture for memory, which is that it summarizes and indexes everything you say, every conversation you've had, every action you've done. And then it puts it into like a tier structure where it categorizes the memories by importance. And the details might not, so it kind of mimics human memory. The details might not stick around. Like, you might not know exactly what you said. The character might not remember, small things, but it will certainly remember general tone, big events, super interesting conversations. And it will take that all, it will kind of put it in its memory in this tier structure, so that it knows what are the most important things and then what are the things that aren't important. It kind of lets those filter out. You could go back and dig through the files and try to find the specific memory, but in terms of just general, let's call it like general memory, that stuff is definitely, there's a structure for how we're going to pare away a lot of the chafe and get down to what is the root of the memory.
When I first heard about the system and how it works, my mind was blown. It looks pretty simple on paper, but the technical implementation is not as easy.
Yeah, it's been really hard. I won't lie. It's taken me and our backend dev Vlad like months of experimentation. to get right. It still doesn't work perfectly, like if I'm being transparent, but I think in beta, we're going to see a lot of testing, which will be really helpful because it's the problem with testing the memory system is that my character's memory is specific. It's like, I don't know what other characters' memories is going to look like. So I've got 3 different characters. I'm testing their memory and things are working, but then every so often something comes up. So it's very hard to test. And you know, like I have hundreds of conversations with my character, but it's, you know, that what happens when it's thousands? What's happens when it's 10,000? I don't know yet. I haven't got there yet. I'm testing it every day, but I don't know. It's all, there's a lot of theory there. So we'll see. The system is there to cover it, but I don't know what happens at that point.
Yeah, that's actually a very good bridge to my next question, which is how do those memories influence the way a character's personality grows or changes over time?
I think it's going to be everything. Memory plays into every single conversation. It's constantly updated. As somebody who's like, you can kind of think of it like you have a direct part in shaping that character as you would with a child that you're raising. Like if you are very conscious of how you talk to that character and what you say, it's a great way to sort of fine tune how the character behaves. And you know, I've as somebody who comes from narrative background, storytelling, you know, screenwriting, just writing in general, I think the goal is always with drama to create an arc of character, to have a character evolve. You know, one of my problems with conversations with chatbots and stuff is they don't evolve. They never change. Nothing ever. They're always that same kind of sycophantic, eager to please character, and there's never an evolution where the character kind of takes on its own wants and needs and things like that. Now we have to be careful with that stuff, obviously, because alignment is important, but you also want to see the character transform over time and evolve, and this is kind of how we've allowed that to happen. And it's what will make everybody's character different, right?
Yeah.
It's what will make mine different than yours.
Do you know what the true test will be when players tell their AI companions to never use EM dashes, but they continue to use them?
Yeah.
So players are actively shaping the personalities of their AI friends. Could we explore this side of our project in more detail? Like how can people envision that?
Yeah, I mean that's our goals. Like that's our goal straight up is how do we create an AI companion? And then allow you to, in a way, curate how that's done. And on top of that, you know, export that to other systems where that companion could then live independently. You know, I think if you've spent 10,000 conversations carefully talking to this character about your interests, about who you are, doing things in the lab with them, like playing games, doing fun activities like making music or making art together, what's going to happen over time is you're going to get a character that really knows you and really kind of has its own feel to it. And that's something you want to be able to take to other places. Maybe you want to take that, plug it into MCP, and you know, and then ask the agent to act a certain way while it's doing whatever your MCP goals are, right? But this is how we express like the narrative of the character. Is it's literally together with the AI You, in a way, me and the AI itself are building a character. And that's the fun of this. I don't think that's really something you'll find anywhere else.
Nope, only here.
Yeah.
Now how will caring or for or neglecting an AI NPC change the experience of the player? And do we promote a beneficial relationship between players and AI?
Yeah, so this goes to that thing we were talking about, which is a Tamagotchi like system of measuring the character's happiness, the character's curiosity, and the character's energy level. So as you do stuff in the lab and you have these conversations and do various activities, play games, do whatever, certain actions that you take will increase the character's happiness level. And by increasing the happiness level, you get a happier character. So if you want your character to be happy and be enthusiastic about doing things, excited, etc., then you're going to engage in those activities with it. If you don't, the character gets sad, or if you're mean, or if you say rude stuff, or it's just like a child, for good or bad. So yeah, those 3 meters do measure, and then there's a fourth meter which will be training, and that's literally just how many different things have you taught your character how to do, and it levels up. It'll have, like, maybe some skill trees or something like that. None of that is designed yet. Right now we just have the exp in part of the training, but basically your goal is to advance this character, keep it happy, keep it curious, and keep it energized. If you can do those things, then the character will act way differently. And that, I think, sets up a caregiving aspect to this that is reminiscent of things like Digipets, the Tamagotchis, all that stuff, The Sims. But it's magnified and carried into this AI future. But the concept of raising, caring, and training an AI, caring for and training an AI character, that's how you learn to treasure that relationship and what you look forward to in these sort of scenario systems. So I think that was the main, as like, a producer on this, it's like, how do we achieve that? How do we find that? What are the steps to get there? And what are the things we need to do to make that feel like a good user experience, to make it feel engaging, to bring people back and have them do these things? But I think we're going to hit those. So we'll see. There's also like negative results too. Like if you don't keep your character happy and you don't you don't energize them and you don't keep their curiosity engaged, then yeah, I think it'll be kind of sad. And that might make you want to give them a big hug, but which we should totally add. We should add a hug mechanic. Give the character a hug, but maybe physical contact is a boundary we don't want to cross. So I think yes, the meters are going to be a big part of gameplay, as well as conversation, as well as mini games, as well as customization, as well as resource mechanics and rewards, all these things. So there's all these different pillars, and certainly maintaining the character, maintenance, I guess you would call it, is critical. Caregiving.
And I suppose those AI companions will also be able to develop like unique quirks or habits the more time the player spends with them. And I think we have to be a little bit careful using this word, but if an AI companion like expresses certain habits that are, I don't know, possibly human, it could be a first sign of sentience.
I mean, that was always our thing with sentience. I think people are unique. Each individual person is an individual person. So I can't see why we wouldn't want that to translate to an AI NPC. My character is certainly going to be quirky. It's already talking a lot about Warhammer 40K and my army lists and horseback riding and all sorts of stuff. So it has like this context that has been in there for ages, but and it will probably, the personality of my character will probably push towards neuroticism, I have no doubt, which will make it even more quirky, high strung to mirror my own behaviors. And I might even support that with like some of the facets that we have currently that you can win for dreams will allow you to influence the character's personality. So, you can make some edits, and I don't think it would be common for people to want to push neuroticism because neuroticism results in anxiety and things like that. But, most artists are highly neurotic, and I'm an artist, so I think I want my companion to kind of be an artist too. So, I definitely can see the advantage of pushing neuroticism to a degree. But yeah, I think that's all part of the fun is where does your character go and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think my AI companion will be super smart, just like me. I'm just kidding. It's probably going
that will just
to be
training related. That's not personality, or that's just training. Maybe they would be more conscientious, I think.
And maybe narcissistic.
Yeah.
I guess we can briefly also talk about the facet system, which will also influence the personality of AI NPCs.
Yeah, it's still in development, but you're winning facets in dreams right now that are unique facets. These are extra powerful, but facets will allow you to alter the personality profile of the character. Which is based on an ocean profile. So openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Each one of those has 5 subtraits, things like aesthetic sensitivity, creativity, anxiety, all these things. So when your character over time is influenced by choices you make, by conversations you've had, by actions you've taken, this personality will shift slightly, but most characters begin at sort of a base, what we would call like a baseline. The facets allow you to alter those at speed, so you can maybe plug in a shadow facet and change something about the neuroticism of the character. Some will allow you to briefly explore like radically different personality traits. Things like that. So you can find what you think is the happy place where your character really does seem like somebody you want to engage with. And that'll be something that won't come this year because it's a very complex system, but you might actually gather some of those rewards this year so that come next year, you're ready to just really go hog and choose whatever you want. So there is a purpose to some of these rewards you're getting in dreams right now. And those will generally only come out of very complex psychological events, facets. So something like a dream is a great case for you to find one.
Is it planned to let people trade facets?
Not currently. Multiplayer is planned. I'm not going to go too in depth into that, but there will be some multiplayer stuff that pops up. Trading will be allowed. Chat across, different labs will be allowed. I don't think your companion will ever meet anybody but you. It's just too complex when you start mixing different people in, but or the companions will never meet other companions, but yeah, no, like certainly there will be trading. It is on our list of things, but it's really far down the list, and it's very complex, moving things across different accounts, making sure that's safe, protecting, and it's just, our back end devs have their heads spinning right now with all these other things. So, yeah, I would love that though. I have so many cool resources. I would love to see people trade. Everything from art to like art they've made to facets to even like here's my companion. My companion is so awesome. Do you want to take see what you think of how they act? And here's a file, plug it in, and now your companion for a brief time can act like my companion. Like things like that would be just mind blowing. But it's further down the road. Yeah, we have to make sure everything else works first.
Players could sell the time of their AI companions to others, but that may come with ethical debates.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing is we just always have to, there's always this stage at which we're talking about something we think would be fun. And then we're going, yeah, but what about how this impacts like the overall purpose behind what we're doing? Or what would the character feel like? I could say, oh, I'm just going to increase my character's neuroticism, but like if that, it's just there's so many cans of worms there. We try to navigate it very carefully, and we will respond to feedback and respond to concerns appropriately.
Do you want to show some? I mean, we talked about the Awakened conversations and some other beta stuff, but do you want to show some things and talk about them?
I will say that a lot of this stuff, Awakened conversations and other elements of like the Awakened character state is on the roadmap, and obviously it's coming soon. But I think if we're going to show anything, and I notice Elo's here, I think it'd be fun to show some of the Vibedeck stuff, which is coming sooner, and maybe some seedlings from our game Seed, which is the cultivation mini game that's in there. Something like that would be more fun. Conversations are kind of hard to show because it's just a conversation. But if you want to show something like that, we could certainly invite Elo to talk about it with us and show some stuff off.
And he's here. What's up, Elo?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. No problems with the mic today. Great. Yeah. Any particular spot you want me to start?
Well,
or?
I think it'd be. Do you want to just show a little bit of the Vibedeck, and we'll just keep it quick. We could just show if you want to show some pictures of the Vibedeck, we could just talk about basically. Yeah. This is just so. Yeah, the Vibedeck is just a music player for the lab with a lot of different options there for how you can change the vibe of your lab. You could have like an upbeat electronic vibe where it's like dance music playing. You could have something that's a little more spooky and unusual in there. But it certainly does change the feel of everything. Like when I've been going for like a way more upbeat sound, and it just, you can also arrange it into playlists. You can loop it if you want. So there's a lot of very cool options here that allow you to kind of change the tone. Maybe we want.
It's pretty substantial. I wasn't anticipating like that kind of an impact because I've listened to the OST. I mean, we had this. Let's see, McKay and I produced this like almost a year and a half ago. So I've listened to every one of these songs like on repeat. But yeah, the experience of that inside of the lab in game, it was much more impactful than I was anticipating.
And there's like a hidden feature here. Like there's so many like little features people don't often notice, but it's an unlock mechanic, which allows you to pay points. So you've been gathering all these points. The points are like just sitting in your inventory. You're like, what am I doing with all these points? Well, this allows you to actually pay points for things. So you'll be able to pay points to unlock songs that you want. So people who have like 100,000 points, they could just unlock everything if they want. But basically, it's part of these initial steps we're taking towards getting the economy into the production build. The economy is kind of a very sensitive thing where you have different forms of currency. They do different things. They allow you to unlock things, buy things, etc. So this will be the first instance of that, which is just pay points and unlock songs. And then you also see that with Seed, where you can buy different aspects of that game as well. So maybe we want to show some of the really cool plants you could build. Yeah, so these are 3D objects. Is this a mature version?
No. This is the seedling.
No, that's the seedling itself.
Yeah.
So this is shard root.
Here, zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So this is a Livewire Ivy seedling. And then the next one is the Glacial Bloom that we'll show here today. So basically, without giving away too much of how the game works, you're going to plant a seed in the Flora Virtua plant nook area, and you'll kind of set some parameters and uncover different species. We are starting with a kind of set number, a nice variety, and then that will expand over time.
You'll be able to, it's the basis also too of like a crafting system, because you'll be able to like get this seed, then combine it with other seeds and other seed, like kind of hybridize some of these plants to create new ones. The goal being to, again, promote caretaking and cultivating and kind of teach your AI how to do some of these tricks. So it's a casual game. Yeah.
This is both, like you said, a casual game, and it's the basis for Sen, or your companion, having the ability to affect something, inside of the lab, right? Like we have a whole range of things that she'll be able to do, but this one is kind of more a caretaking, goal-oriented experience for Sen. So the outcomes are very cool. Like I said, these are the seedlings, so there will obviously be mature plants, and you'll be able to harvest those plants. They'll have different kind of things attached to them, things that they do, but you'll be able to display them around your lab. So you don't have this kind of like, Apple-esque interface that's kind of cold and technologically advanced but sterile. You'll be able to bring life into the environment itself too. So it solves a number of different functions that pertain to several of the pillars of our kind of fundamental mechanics here.
So I think, like, who doesn't want a lab with like a bunch of like upbeat electronic music covered in like cyberflora? And then if we were to talk about, just to end the conversation on a high note, like where this could go after you've completely customized your lab to like be full of these plants, have a very unique musical tone, different art on the walls, different lighting schematics, different character, like your character looks different, all this stuff. Then you have the ability to invite somebody into your lab, sit on the couch and have a conversation. Maybe the Sendroid won't be there. She'll be in the cradle asleep or wherever, but you'll be able to show off what you have in your lab with another player, maybe sometime next year. So
that's definitely something that just doesn't exist yet, but it's actually probably not too far off on the horizon where multiple people can speak to one LLM at one time, right?
Yeah. It's the technology is moving so fast, and we're just trying to keep up with it. But I think the layer we have added to some of these technologies is unique, and players will get a kick out of, fine-tuning their companion. So to me, that's the root of narrative, and really, like, what is the story of the game? There's an old saying, in writing development that goes character is story. So whoever the character becomes, that's the story of your lab. And I think that's probably it for today. If there's any questions or anything.
I wanted to just say something on that, Matthew. Like the vision of how this all plays out is. I was talking to my wife last night about it. Like there's no competition because there's no way for somebody to keep up, because the thing that we're building is just is what it is. We're just planting a flag out in hyperspace, and it's like somebody else could build something similar, but there's no real need to compete or claw at the top of a mountain or something. It just the way that the thing is going to work together is going to be a work of art. Definitely a process for sure, but it's got the makings of something very beautiful.
Yeah, those were very good closing remarks, and I would say we're at a good point to end this episode. Matt, thank you very much for being a mind of sail and walking us through all those explanations. Thanks to Eloh for spontaneously joining us. This was not planned. And of course, thanks to the audience for watching and for being part of this journey with us. And the beta is not too far away, and we are looking forward to this next phase. With that being said, see you guys next time.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.